Do you find bronzer mystifying? Well, so did I. So here are a few things that I learned about it that I want to share with you. Check it out. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, how do I even pick a bronzer? What's going to work for me? How do I know? And the best thing I can tell you is just to go swatch as many things as you can. Here, I'm in the US, so we have Ulta has testers of pretty much everything. Even on the drugstore side, they have a lot of testers. So you can swatch a lot of the products. And if they don't have testers of those products, you go swatch other ones, see what they look like, and if the other ones are too expensive, you can go back to the drugstore side and find one that kind of looks similar in the pan. That's not necessarily always going to be a surefire way to get the best one, but that's kind of the best you can do, short of just like kind of blindly buying things and hoping you end up with the right one. However, I will say, in my experience with bronzer, you have a little bit more room to play with, like accidentally getting the wrong shade or getting something too dark or too light. You can really customize bronzer to you. So for example, I have this NARS bronzer. It is in the shade Laguna 3. My shade really for bronzer is probably a Laguna 1, maybe a Laguna 2 in the summer. So this is what Laguna 3 looks like. It's definitely very dark. Here is another one from Anastasia Beverly Hills in Warm Tan. Look at the difference. Both of these work on my skin. In my last video, I used this one. And today, I'm going to use this one. So you can see, if you really want to see how this NARS works on my skin, you can go to my last video and check it out. So take comfort in knowing that bronzer comes with a bit of forgiveness. You just kind of got to play with it and maybe spend some time when no one's going to see you, maybe like right before you like take a shower or a bath. You can kind of do whatever you want with your makeup because you're just going to wash it all off. I'm looking at the wrong side. The camera's over here. So let's talk about some of the different forms bronzer comes in. So I showed you 2 cream bronzers. Then let's talk about powder bronzers. We have matte. So this one's a NYX matte bronzer. This is in the shade medium. I have another NYX bronzer. This is their Buttermelt bronzer. This is in the shade All Buttered Up. This is, I believe, the second lightest shade. And here's that. Pretty similar. The Buttermelt one is a little bit more loomy, a little glowy. So then I also have ones like these from Benefit, and I'll swatch these on this arm because this one's wet. So this is their Hoola bronzer. This is called Hoola Light. This one I don't really use much, unless I'm doing like the kind of like full glam type look where I'm using a really light foundation as highlighter, and then I want to fill in. I'll use this to kind of deepen up my foundation, and then I'll go in with another deeper bronzer to do my real bronzing. And then the other one, this is the actual shade Hoola from Benefit. I can't remember which finger I used. I'll use this one. So there's that. Pretty similar to the other 2. So for today, I'm gonna use the Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Warm Tan, and the NYX Buttermelt in the shade All Buttered Up. And then I've also got a NYX Buttermelt blush because I'm going to show you how to layer blush with it. Because when do I use blush? When do I use bronzer? Do I use both? You can use one, you can use the other. Depending on what you're using is going to change your placement though. So if you're just using blush, if you're just using bronzer, you're going to use it in pretty much all the places. I'm going to put it here on my cheek. We can talk about cheek placement now. There's different places it's a little bit trendier to put it lower, but I like the higher look. And then I like to bring it up, leave a little bit of space here so it doesn't look like you have a mask going around your face, but across my forehead and on my temples. If I'm not doing bronzer, I will do that all with blush. If I'm doing bronzer as well, I do bronzer in all of those places, and then I do blush here, and I blend it into my bronzer here and here. Hello, little cat. So let's get started. Oh, and one other form of bronzer. I'll edit this in earlier. Bronzing drops. These you can mix in with a moisturizer. These e.l.f. ones I've put directly on my face before and not had a problem. I've also mixed them in with foundation. I can't say that that's the best idea though. It was a little streaky when I did that, I felt, and I think it kind of didn't play nicely with my foundation, whereas when I layer, if I do this with a moisturizer, let it soak into my skin and then go in with foundation, I have a better result. So now let's get started with applying some of this. I'm gonna go in with my ABH, and I'm gonna take, I talked about this in my last video too, so this is a contoured foundation number 102 from the Ulta Beauty collection. It's got this nice angled on it, and it's nice dense brush. I'm just gonna tap it a few times in here. This one's so light, I don't need to diffuse it as much as the dark one, but I'm gonna a little bit, and then I'm just gonna start here. Anywhere, if you think about when you're outside in the sunshine, so your foundation should be matching your skin, and then what your bronzer is doing is it's not tanning, it's not self-tanner. These bronzing drops, you can use either way. Some people use them the way I'm about to do bronzer, some people use them to kind of glow up their face. These are kind of more like what a self-tanner will do for you, only they're not permanent, they're makeup. This is to create dimension in your face and to actually give it a shape. So what you're doing is you're thinking about all the highest places on your face where the sun would touch. So I'm not going to do it right here because I actually want to contour my nose, and I'm going to use the bronzer to do that. But here, where the sun is going to touch me first, here where the sun is going to touch me first, where I'm going to have a little bit more color, I want to go in there and I want to apply my bronzer to those areas to give myself that look of like, oh, he goes outside, he's in the sunshine, he like doesn't stay in his house with his cats and his piano and YouTube on his iPad. So anyway, I'm gonna go up here, let me move my headband, I'm gonna get really right in this corner of this temple. Let me get a mirror on the other side too so I can really see. The nice thing about this bronzer is, unlike the NARS one, I don't have to spend as much time shearing it out because it is maybe even a shade too light for me, but I would say a pretty decent shade for me. Then I've gone back in and got a little bit more product, and I'll do the other side of my face. But you can just see almost immediately, oh, my eyeshadow is a little, almost immediately you can see like the difference. Do I have more product to get off my brush before I dip in? Now I'm gonna go onto my nose and I'm gonna contour my nose essentially. So I could use like a contour, like this is more of a contour shade. They also call it a bronzer, but bronzing and sculpting stick on me, this is purely a contour. This just looks like mud if I use it as a bronzer. And since I don't do pure contour, I don't use this that often, although it smells like chocolate, which is nice. But I'm not gonna use a contour like this. I'm just gonna use my bronzer to contour my nose, because while a contour is cool tone and a bronzer is warm tone, you can kind of use them in similar ways, depending on your application. Little cat. They love you on the internet. They love cats. Say hello. No? Okay. Why don't we go hang out over here? Yeah. So now that I've got cream bronzer on, and this is, like I said, maybe a little light. It's not bad, especially for a winter when I'm not really tan at all now, am I? I'll go in now with my Buttermelt bronzer, and I'll take this brush, and this is an Ulta Beauty Collection Precision Powder number 126. It's a nice fluffy powder brush. I like these domed brushes for bronzer and blush. A little more than the diagonal ones just because of the style I like to do my blush in. I'm gonna go in my bronzer. Ooh, I got a lot. Tap, tap, tap. And then I'm just going to go back over all the places that I bronzed with my cream bronzer and just set it. Now, I haven't used this bronzer because I have my other one, this matte one. I've actually, it's from my pile of Project Pan, which I'm gonna make a video about Project Pan and the project that I'm doing, the makeup that I'm doing with that I'm doing for my Project Pan this year. I forgot how pigmented this bronzer is, so I got it a little heavy, but I don't think bad. Go up here, across my forehead. Then let me get a little bit more and go into my nose. Now, I could stop here. However, I like to do blush with my bronzer. Some people will layer blush with bronzer, so I'll do a little bit. This is NYX Buttermelt Blush, Butter Than Before. It's a raspberry. It's very dark. It's the same one it's the same shade, sorry, as the matte one that I used from Maybelline in my last video. And I will take the same brush and I'm just gonna wipe it off on my makeup towel. And then go in just 1, 2. This is a very pigmented blush. And I will, now normally I don't come down here with my blush, but you can. And just to show what that looks like, because I think that's where a lot of people like their blush. If you're gonna do both, that's the kind of effect you'll get. It's very, very warm. It's more, I would say, of a summer blush look, because it leans kind of into that, especially as dark as this one is. It leans into that sunburn type of appearance. Now, because I'm doing this so lightly and I did not connect my bronzer, I am still connecting my blush because I'm not doing my blush as heavy on the top. And then, again, could be finished here, or could go in with highlight, and really, my hair looks insane. Let me fix it. Oh my gosh, did I do eyebrows? I didn't do eyebrows. Well, that was embarrassing. All right, now I have eyebrows. So again, could stop there. Let me go ahead and add some highlighter, and then I will come back and show you my completed look. And lip. All right, and there's the highlighter and the lips that I forgot from the beginning. So I hope this answered any questions you have about bronzer, but if I left any questions unanswered, or if it made you think of new questions, leave them below, and don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.